You're listening to Voicecast, Midnight Radio for the Sleepless. This is Conrad Mallow, as always, behind the mic, broadcasting live through the velvet fog of night. It's just past 12 in the AM, and tonight, like every night, I'm here with you because silence is too loud and sleep feels a little too far away. It's been another strange week out there, hasn't it? Cold snaps in the middle of July, power flickers, calendar glitches on digital billboards. One of our listeners, June from Maple Heights, says her phone thinks it's October. If yours does too, hey, maybe we're all just ahead of the curve. Tonight, I want to hear from you. What's on your mind? What's keeping you awake? Drop me a call. I'll read some emails, spin a few vinyls, and maybe, just maybe, we'll find a little peace in the static. First up, a message from Nick in Halden. He says he hasn't seen the moon in 3 nights. Just cloud cover? Or something more? Don't worry, Nick. We've got your favorite Bowie track queued up after the break. You're not alone out there. We never are, right? Not really. We've got each other and the airwaves. So settle in. Keep the lights low, the volume just right, and let the hum of the radio fill the cracks. This is Conrad, and you're tuned to the place between waking and dreaming. Voicecast, signing you gently into the dark. Now let's play something warm. How about a little bit of a law to keep the cold away? Okay, that was weird. I don't know if you all caught that, but just before the track ended, there was this sound, like something grinding beneath the melody. At first, I thought it was a needle skip, but this was deeper. Like something crawling through the transmission. Hold on, let me check the feed. It's not in the playback, not in the station archive either, but I heard it. And judging by the blinking red light on line 2, so did at least a few of you. Caller ID says unknown origin. Weird. Usually it says private, not unknown. There it is again. Hear that? Beneath my voice? A ticking sound, soft, mechanical, like a pocket watch spinning in reverse. But it's not in the room. It's in the audio feed, embedded in the frequency. If this is some elaborate prank, you've got my attention. But if not, then someone or something is tapping in without our permission. And you know what? I've been doing this job for 16 years. I've heard crossfeed from emergency channels, glitching ads, even CB pirates broadcasting from bunkers. But this is something else entirely. You're still listening to Voicecast. Stay with me. I just received a file over the station's secure drop line. No subject, no sender. The file name is a string of numbers, 13.01000. I opened it, and inside, there's an audio clip. Rough. Like it's been passed through a dozen old machines. And there's a timestamp embedded in the metadata, but the software can't parse it. It flags it as a non-existent date-time format. For those just tuning in, this is not a stunt. I'm playing the file now, as is. There was a voice in there. A woman's voice. I swear she said something, but it was buried under static. If anyone caught it, call in. What's strange, besides everything, is the embedded time code, 13th of January 2000, 000000. That date, it doesn't exist. There is no 13th month. There never was. And yet, here it is. Not a typo. Not a mislabel. I tried to reformat it. My software froze. Rebooted on its own. Someone, or something, is sending this on purpose. What would a 13th month even be? A lost space in time. A glitch in the calendar. A moment that fell through history. I'm starting to think this isn't just a signal. It's a warning. The lines are lighting up like I've never seen. Everyone's calling about that signal. Let's take a few. Live. Unfiltered. Line 1. You're on the air. Conrad. My oven clock says April 13th. My tablet does too. I thought it was a virus, but now I'm not so sure. My calendar just added a new page. Line 3, go ahead. My son said his school schedule ends in month 13. He's 6. He doesn't even know what that means. I'm getting chills. All right, line 7. I checked my hospital records. I had a follow-up appointment dated month 13, day 17. But it's not on any printed copy, only on the file they emailed me. And when I asked the nurse, she said, "You're early." Emails, smartwatches, home assistants, everything is updating with phantom data. And every caller says the same thing. It's beginning again. What does that mean? We've entered strange territory before on this show. Unexplained signals, ghost transmissions. But this feels different. Coordinated. Like someone is using our devices to push something through. Something not meant for this reality. Or maybe something that was meant for it, but got delayed. Listeners, stay sharp. Check your calendars. Check your clocks. If you see anything marked 13, call me. Tell me what you saw. Whatever this is, it's spreading. I've just played the original clip again, this time in reverse, and it wasn't just garbled noise. When reversed, the static resolved into something structured, a sequence of tones, and a voice, clear this time, counting down in 13-second intervals. 13, 12, 11. At 1, there was a deep pulse, like something massive shifting. Then silence. Immediately after that, the studio clock, our atomic synced master timekeeper, jumped forward. Not by seconds, not minutes, by 1 hour, then another, then 1 whole day. I reset it manually. 30 seconds later, it jumped again. This time, it flashed 13, 13, 13, before cycling through nonsensical values. Month 13, day 32, year 0. Every display in the studio followed suit. Even my old wind-up wristwatch, which hasn't lost a minute in 5 years, just stopped. Listeners are reporting the same across the board. Devices malfunctioning, alarm clocks ringing at the wrong times. Some say they've already lived tomorrow's weather. A man from Lancaster just swore his daughter celebrated her birthday twice today. And me? I keep checking the clock behind the mic. And each time I look away, it's changed. Faster. Off cycle. Ahead of me. What's happening isn't random. It's like time is folding inward. And something, or someone, is inside the fold. This is Conrad Mallow. Still here for now. You're listening to Voicecast, Midnight Radio, on a frequency no longer bound to time. Stay with me. Something is coming. It hasn't stopped. Since the clock skipped forward last night, the reports have been nonstop. My inbox is bursting. The phone lines, when they're not jammed with static, are filled with the same impossible refrain. My phone says month 13. It's not just phones now. Smartwatches, car dashboards, traffic light timers. A listener from West Ridge sent in a screenshot from her microwave's digital clock. 13:33, 26:71 a.m. It blinked for 12 seconds, then returned to ready. Someone else sent a voicemail that auto-dated itself 5 days into the future. Wednesday, month 13, day 7, 4:44 p.m. It played before I even clicked it. Then came the harder ones. People claiming their banking apps showed transactions on days that haven't happened yet. An email from a mother to her son, time-stamped 3 hours from now, despite her swearing she hadn't written it. One man said he received a funeral announcement. For himself. And here's the part that's truly disturbing. The anomalies aren't consistent. Different people are seeing different dates, but all of them fall under this so-called 13th month. It's as if something or someone is rewriting the shared rules of time, but doing it in pieces. Out of sync, out of logic, out of reach. We rely on time to ground us. It's our constant, our shared rhythm. And now it's unraveling. I don't know what's happening, but I do know this. Something's been set in motion. The numbers have changed, and time is no longer ours. I just got off the line with a man from Marion. His voice was shaking. He said he's been reliving the same Monday for the past 9 days. Each time, it starts the same. His alarm clock blares at 6:03 a.m., his coffee pot overflows by 6:12, his dog barks at a neighbor's cat by 6:18. Then, somewhere around midday, things start to shift. Slightly. A wrong headline on the news, a different cashier at the grocery store, his wife not recognizing him and then reset. He's aware of the loop. No one else is. He says it's like being buried alive inside your own life. Another caller, a nurse from Dry Hollow, says her body's aging faster than her coworkers. She swears she's grown wrinkles since Monday. She's exhausted, out of breath constantly, forgetting names. She said she woke up this morning and didn't recognize her own reflection. Then there are those who aren't aging at all. A mother called in. Her 6-year-old son hasn't blinked in 3 days, hasn't eaten, just sits on the couch and watches the TV, which isn't even on. Listeners, this isn't just strange anymore, it's breaking something fundamental. The symmetry of memory and cause. The sensation of moving forward. It's all collapsing into a spiral of repetition and distortion. Yesterday won't let go. And tomorrow? Tomorrow might not come at all. I want to play you a clip. It was sent in from a listener traveling through Wilburn County, Georgia. This is Eddie Thomason. I pulled into town an hour ago. Or maybe more. I don't know anymore. The streets were empty. No movement. Stores wide open. Ice cream melting down the sidewalks. A police cruiser parked outside City Hall. Engine still running. No one inside. I called out. No one answered. Not even an echo. He swears the town is stuck in time, mid-bite, mid-step, mid-blink, like a photograph pretending to be real. Contrast that with another message from Michigan. A woman says she watched her sister age 20 years overnight. Her hair went gray. Her voice deepened. Her memories scattered. She started talking about things that haven't happened yet. People are either frozen or accelerated. There's no middle ground. One man said he lost his wife. Not in the emotional sense, literally. One moment, they were eating breakfast. The next, she was gone. No sound, no light, just absence. He found a note on the fridge that he swears he didn't write. It simply said, "Don't try to follow. You're already behind." Listeners, I don't know what's more terrifying. That time has abandoned us, or that it's choosing who gets left behind. I've spent the last hour calling every scientist, astronomer, and physicist I've ever interviewed on this show. A few picked up. Most didn't. Dr. Lena Kim, an astrophysicist from Denver, thinks we're seeing the early effects of solar destabilization, fluctuations in the sun's magnetosphere, affecting time perception at a neurological level. Meanwhile, Dr. Simon Feld, a quantum theorist, believes we've ruptured something at the Planck scale. He says if time is a thread, someone just snapped it at the center, and now the ends are flailing, but not everyone agrees it's physical. Dr. Romero, a cognitive psychologist, insists this is mass psychosis, a shared dream state amplified by global anxiety and information overload, a cultural hallucination with no fixed center. Then there's Father Elric, a theologian, not a scientist, who called in just minutes ago to say that what we're seeing is prophecy. He quoted ancient lunar calendars that speak of a hidden month, a time between time, which marks the era of reckoning. And you know what? None of them are wrong, and none of them are right. Because none of them can explain how my voicemail app received a message from a week into the future. With my own voice whispering, "Don't read the next one. If the experts can't agree on what this is, how can we possibly know how to stop it?" Just now, someone slid an unmarked envelope under the station's side door. No name, no return address. Inside, a single redacted document titled Class E Temporal Event Internal Advisory. The header reads, "Do not distribute. for federal clearance level 6 plus. Most of it is blacked out, but a few phrases remain. Confirmed chrono disruption zone alpha 5. Recommend full suppression of digital and analog media references. Subjects report overlapping timelines, identity loss, memory fragmentation, risk of recursive time events now elevated. Do not acknowledge the 13th month in public communications. And then a handwritten line at the bottom. If you're reading this, you're already inside it. That was meant to stay hidden, but it found its way here. And if suppression is their answer, then what are they so afraid we'll discover? The line just opened. No ring, no blink. Just a voice. It sounded like a whisper pressed through layers of static. Barely human, barely real. Conrad, I'm still here. It's month 13, day 14. I don't think you remember me yet, but you will. You always do. Right before the reset. I asked who they were. Silence. Then this. You only have one broadcast left before it starts over. Don't read the next message. That's how it finds you. And then the line went dead. Listeners, I don't know what's coming, but I can feel it now. Time is no longer moving forward. It's circling us. I want to play back a call from earlier. I've listened to it 4 times now, and it still makes my skin crawl. His name is Matt. He says he lives just outside of Charleston. It's Tuesday, Conrad. It's always Tuesday. I don't mean it feels that way. I mean it is. Every day, I wake up to the same headlines. The same voicemail from my mom. My neighbor grilling burgers. At first, I thought it was déjà vu. But after a few days, I knew. I've tested it. I wrote something on the wall every morning. Tuesday, Tuesday, Tuesday. I've filled the walls of my apartment now. I don't sleep. I don't age. I don't eat. I just observe. But here's the part that scares me, Conrad. They're changing. My neighbors, my coworkers, they're doing things I haven't seen before. Little things. One blink out of rhythm. One word they didn't say last time. It's like they know I'm aware. Matt says he hasn't seen the sunrise in 6 loops. Just a dull blue haze outside his window. He hasn't found a way out. He says the loop only resets when he turns on the radio and hears me. I asked him how many times he's heard this voice. He didn't answer. The line disconnected. So here's the question. If he's right, how many others are stuck? How many Tuesdays are being relived over and over? And who decides when the loop ends? Maybe you've noticed something too. A moment that's too familiar. A sentence repeated out of order. Maybe Matt isn't alone. Maybe we aren't. A woman named Lacey called just before the break. She said her town hasn't had a sunrise in 9 days. Not cloudy, not rainy, just frozen in twilight. No shift, no warmth, no stars. A permanent sky the color of bruised paper. She says no one in town has acknowledged it. Not even the meteorologists on local broadcasts. She told me. The clocks stopped first, every one of them. Wall clocks, phones, watches, all stuck at 5:41 p.m. Then the birds stopped chirping. Then the wind just quit. I went out this morning and watched a flag hang limp like it forgot what it was supposed to do. People are still moving, going to work, buying groceries, but none of them mentioned the light. When she asked her neighbor what day it was, he just smiled and said, "Yes." She says she started to hear voices, not out loud, but in patterns. The hum of her refrigerator forming syllables, a running faucet sounding like laughter. She swears the shadows in her hallway whisper numbers when she closes her eyes. Lacey ended the call with something I can't shake. If time really did stop, I don't think I'd be scared. But it hasn't stopped. It's just pretending to. I don't know how to describe this one. A man named Terrence left a message earlier this evening. He sounded broken. My daughter's name is Melody. She turned 6 last week. We had a party. balloons, cake. She still had cake on her chin when she woke up the next day. But she didn't look 6 anymore. He said her hair was longer, her voice deeper, her eyes different. He thought maybe he was just tired. Maybe he was imagining it. But by the 3rd day, she looked 10. She stopped playing with toys, started drawing symbols, elaborate ones, swirling patterns that neither he nor his wife could recognize. When they asked where she learned them, she said, "I remember them from the other side." She told her parents that she had been waiting a long time to come back, and that time is folding again. That they wouldn't remember this conversation once the reset began. Terrence didn't sleep for 4 nights. He just watched her. By day 5, she looked 15. Then she stopped answering to Melody. He ended the message like this: "I don't think she's mine anymore. I don't know if she ever was." I've received dozens of messages this week that all share one disturbing trait. Listeners dreaming of things before they happen. Sometimes mundane. A phone call, a misplaced object. Other times, horrific. Evelyn from Ohio said she dreamed of a train derailment. 3 days later, it happened. Same city, same number of casualties. She told her husband, but he didn't believe her, until she recited the names of victims that hadn't yet been released. A man in Portland claims he dreamed he was in a burning building, watching himself scream for help from above. He woke up in a cold sweat, only to find soot on his bedsheets and the faint smell of smoke in his apartment. And then there's the memory bleed. One caller, Ben, from Toronto, said he vividly remembers an argument with his wife. He remembers the words, the tone, the tears. But here's the twist. His wife died 6 years ago. He's convinced the dream replaced a real memory, that some alternate version of him lived a different path, and now those paths are converging. What happens when your dreams start rewriting your past? When you can't tell if a memory is yours, or borrowed, or worse, planted? I need to be honest with you. Something strange is happening on my end now. I've gone back to listen to segments of tonight's broadcast, and there are pieces I don't remember recording, words I know I didn't say. There's a part where I repeat the same sentence 3 times in a row, but it's not a glitch. I inflect it differently each time, like I meant it, like I knew I was doing it, but I don't remember any of it. I took a break earlier, or at least I thought I did, but when I checked the studio clock, 43 minutes had passed. My water glass was empty. The mic was still warm. Did I keep broadcasting? And here's the part that finally made my hands shake. I played back a portion of the last segment. There's a faint voice layered just beneath mine. A second voice. It's me. But it's not a delay. It's not echo. It's me speaking just ahead of myself, answering questions before I ask them, finishing sentences I haven't begun. How long has this been happening? Has it always been like this? Am I the one listening now? No matter how many times I play it back, the layers don't sync. And when I pause the audio, the second voice keeps going. I woke up this morning to an official government broadcast, short, sterile, and eerily confident. The Department of Behavioral Science has issued a statement across all major outlets. They're calling what's happening a mass psychogenic disorder. Their words, not mine. According to the release, symptoms include temporal confusion, collective memory distortion, digital anomalies, and delusional time perception caused by stress, overexposure to digital media, and psychological contagion. They've coined it chronodissociative syndrome. It's spreading, they say, but not like a virus. It's spreading like an idea, a thought that replicates and distorts reality for those vulnerable to suggestion. They didn't mention the 13th month, not once, not directly, but the subtext was crystal clear. You're not seeing something real. You're seeing what others want you to believe. I read between the lines, and I'll tell you what this sounds like. Gaslighting on a national scale. They're saying this is in your head, that your malfunctioning clocks, your reversed voicemail timestamps, your memories of days that never happened, they're not symptoms of something real. They're hysteria. You're just stressed. But here's the thing. Listeners, we've heard this before, haven't we? When the strange becomes undeniable, the powerful always weaponize doubt. They want you to second guess what you've seen. They want to plug the fracture with denial. And the worst part, it's working. Some people are already questioning themselves, deleting their recordings, erasing their calendars, trying to realign themselves with the official time. But the clocks are still broken. The days are still off. The signals haven't stopped. So no matter what they say from behind podiums and polished smiles, I'm telling you now, this isn't a delusion. This is happening. As the day wore on, I began flipping through frequencies, just scanning. NPR static, KMOD, silence. Even the weather channels, silent. Then somewhere between 108.0 and 108.4, I found something. A narrowband signal, crystal clear, low volume. And it's been broadcasting on loop since at least 5:41 p.m. yesterday. A calm, flat voice. No emotion, no hesitation. It reads dates over and over. Month 13, day 1. Month 13, day 2. Month 13, day 03. No news. No commentary. Just dates. Dates that shouldn't exist. Some listeners say they hear different numbers. Some say it skips around. One caller told me he heard month 13, day 44, which doesn't make sense unless time has stopped playing by its own rules. Another said the voice eventually whispered their name. I've recorded it, slowed it down, reversed it, filtered it, and I still don't know what it is. It's not a standard emergency broadcast. There's no ID tag, no origin frequency. It seems to exist outside the normal spectrum, just hovering between known channels. The loop never stops. It never breaks. And I have to ask, if every national network has gone dark, who's running this one? And why only this message? What's on the other end of the 13th day? 2 hours ago, I received an encrypted file drop, unsigned, with no source. It decrypted into a document marked classified. Project Epoch wound. Department of Strategic Temporal Applications. The file outlines something that sounds like fiction. But after everything we've experienced, I'm not so sure anymore. According to the document, Epoch Wound was a series of experimental military operations conducted between 2006 and 2014, focused on destabilizing hostile field time perceptions. That's right, the goal wasn't time travel, it was time distortion, weaponizing temporal manipulation to fracture an enemy's sense of sequence, so their forces couldn't tell yesterday from tomorrow. One excerpt read, initial results suggest that short-term exposure to chrono-instability fields, CIFs, can create lasting cognitive dissonance and fragmented temporal awareness. Field operatives report bleed-through phenomena, auditory time loops, and emotional déjà vu. Then it got darker. Another line, heavily redacted, mentioned civilian leak events near test sites in southern Utah and North Dakota, reports of temporal residue lingering long after shutdown. They called it calendar rot. Worse still, one section was titled Protocol 13, Collapsing Month Constructs in Isolated Populations. There's no explanation of what it means, but it lines up with what we've been seeing. Phantom dates, nonlinear memory, and untraceable broadcasts. One final quote stayed with me. Time can be fractured, but once split, it begins to self-replicate. A 13th construct appears naturally, disconnected from consensus chronology. It behaves like a wound that refuses to heal. Project Epoch Wound wasn't science fiction. It wasn't theoretical. It was implemented, and now it's bleeding into the rest of us. At 11:43 p.m., I got a call on the direct line, the one no one has used in years. A woman's voice, calm, precise. She gave no name. You don't know me. You're not supposed to. But I worked on epoch wound. My specialty was mnemonic pattern interference, how time affects memory, not clocks. I asked her what was happening. Her answer was unsettling. The 13th month isn't about time, Conrad. It's about memory. When you fracture a timeline, the damage doesn't show up on a calendar. It shows up in how people remember things. The 13th month isn't coming. It's already here. And it lives inside your recollection of what never was. I asked if it could be reversed. She said no. Memory loops faster than light. Once enough, people remember something that didn't happen. It has happened. That's what makes it real. That's why the signal won't stop. It's reinforcing the false month, anchoring it in perception. Then she paused and said one last thing. You've already broadcasted your last episode 3 times. You don't remember, but that's what resets the loop. I begged her to stay on the line, to explain what she meant, but she was gone. After the last segment aired, I got a rash of messages, frantic, panicked. Listeners said they'd seen black drones hovering above their homes, their neighborhoods, their workplaces. No markings, no noise, just watching. One caller swore he stepped outside to confront one, and when he did, it tilted downward and emitted a low, harmonic tone. The next thing he remembers is waking up on his kitchen floor. 5 hours missing, his phone wiped, his clocks reset. Another caller, someone I recognized, a man named Travis, who's been phoning in for months, vanished this morning. His wife called to say he went out for groceries and never came back. She found his car parked 2 blocks away, the driver's door open, radio on, tuned to this frequency. She said the last thing he did was email me a recording. I haven't played it yet. The file says it was created tomorrow. And then there's the list. A listener sent me a spreadsheet from a whistleblower group online. It's a list of names, people who've reported anomalies publicly and then gone silent. Every one of them shared a common trait. They mentioned the drones before disappearing. I can't verify it yet, but I think I'm on it too. After the broadcast cut from the military, I thought that might be it, but the phone kept ringing. Not listeners this time. Scientists, the ones too far outside the mainstream to ever be invited on the big networks, the ones they call fringe, the ones we used to laugh at. I'm not laughing anymore. Dr. Vesper Holtz, theoretical physicist, known for being blacklisted after accusing the Large Hadron Collider of bending observable time, called in with a chilling thought. We tore it, Conrad. Not on purpose. But when you push energy through space faster than it can absorb, the first thing that breaks isn't matter. It's chronology. She believes the anomalies aren't hallucinations. They're fractures, like a windshield cracking from the inside out. Dr. Anil Boston, an independent temporal mechanicist, said we're looking at a breach, not metaphoric, literal. A split in the continuum, small at first, like a hairline tear, but growing faster than we can comprehend. He said the 13th month isn't a new invention. It's a consequence, a catch basin for all the days that never fit. Misremembered birthdays, lost hours, skipped leap seconds, ghost time. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and forget why? That's time misfiring. That's what happens when the structure starts failing. They're not offering solutions, only warnings. This isn't a countdown to a disaster, one said. This is the disaster. We're living in the aftermath of a future that already broke. I asked what happens next. The line went silent. Then Holtz whispered, "Check your shadow. If it starts moving before you do, you're already in the split." I got a call from Dr. Marina Belcourt, a sleep researcher who spent her life studying parasomnia and lucid dream states. She said what we're experiencing might not be physical at all. The 13th month is a convergence zone, she told me. A psychic event. Think of it like a dream shared across the global subconscious. According to her, billions of people, under strain, anxiety, overstimulation, are beginning to slip, not into psychosis, but into synchronicity, a kind of collective sleepwalking where boundaries between real and unreal collapse. She cited experiments where patients dreamed the same shapes, the same voices. She said that when enough minds begin to sync on a single belief, especially one rooted in fear, it forms a temporal echo chamber. And the brain, she says, is a stubborn organ. If you tell it the sky is green long enough, it will adjust. If you tell it there are 13 months, it will start counting them. She ended with a warning, not to the world, but to me. If you're hearing things before they're said, if your dreams are starting before you fall asleep, it means you're sinking. It means you're dreaming now. The scientists aren't the only ones calling. The phones have been lighting up with religious leaders, cultists, and mystics, each claiming this moment was foretold in forgotten calendars. Father Niles, an Orthodox monk from Romania, said that ancient lunar cycles recognized 13 phases, not 12. That early agrarian calendars included a hidden moon, a sacred pause for judgment. He called it the silence before the scream. A woman named Mara, from a New Mexico desert commune, said they've been preparing for this moment for 20 years. She called the 13th month the womb of time, a spiritual cycle where the universe stops to decide what realities deserve to continue. But it was a man named Elias who chilled me most. He called from somewhere rural, no background noise. His voice was steady, measured. The 13th month was erased by man. But time remembers. The reckoning was delayed, not canceled. We are the generation born under the severed moon. That which does not fit will now return. He claimed the 13th month isn't added, it's revealed. Not an extension of time, but a return to a moment we chose to forget. You've walked into a sacred corridor, Conrad. The problem isn't that you're broadcasting from inside it. The problem is you brought others with you. I didn't want to say this. I've tried to ignore it, but I can't anymore. Listeners have sent in photos, screenshots, video clips of me. But it's not the voice that bothers me. It's the face. It's mine. But it's not. Some show me with a beard I've never grown. Others with glasses I've never owned. One, from a woman in St. Paul, shows me standing in front of a hardware store, a place I've never been. She swears she took it yesterday. I'm looking directly at the camera, but I wasn't there. And now, in the mirror, I don't know how to explain it. It's slightly off. My left eye used to have a freckle beneath it. It's gone. The scar on my thumb from the accident in high school? Faded. Almost invisible. My voice has a drag to it now. A faint delay I didn't notice at first. But listeners have been writing in. They say I sound different every night. Slightly older, slightly more uncertain, and then there's the audio playback. When I rewind this broadcast, I hear layers, doubles, echoes of me saying things I haven't said yet, finishing sentences before I begin them, like I've already done this show, maybe more than once. Maybe this is the 4th time I've broadcasted this exact segment. And if so, what changed? What didn't? I got an email. No sender, no subject, just a line of text. The you behind the mic isn't the first, but it might be the last. The call came in at 3:13 a.m. No ID, no signal trace, just silence. Then breathing. She didn't say her name, just started talking like she already knew me. Like we'd spoken before. Conrad, I'm calling from the real December. The one you never made it to. I asked her what she meant, but she kept talking, calm, steady, rehearsed, like she had said these words 100 times. You're dead. You died during the first breach, in the static. You've been in a feedback loop since the collapse, reliving your final broadcast. Over and over. You think you're documenting the event, warning people, but you're not. You're the echo. I told her she was wrong. I'm here. I'm still receiving messages. The signal is still active. But she said, that's part of the loop. Memory fills in the blanks to preserve function. You're not remembering. You're playing back. She said she'd escaped. Found a narrow slit in the timeline that hadn't closed yet. And from there, she could see the others. The other versions of me. Some screaming. Some silent. Some already gone. And then she said something that hit harder than anything I've heard so far. You were never meant to be the voice. You were meant to be the silence that followed. I asked her how to break the loop. She paused. The line cracked. You can't. And then, you just have to decide if you're ready to stop pretending it's still December. She hung up. And for the first time since this started, I didn't know what day it was. The phones are quiet now, but the emails haven't stopped, and they all mention the same phrase. The forgotten hour. Not 1313. Not the 13th day. The forgotten hour. It shows up in fringe sermons, prophecy forums, obscure desert cult manifestos. It's described as a temporal vestibule, the space between death and judgment. Not heaven. Not hell. Just waiting. Wandering. Some say it lasts 60 minutes. Others say it stretches for eternity. But they all agree on one thing. It happens after your last breath. But before the world notices you're gone. I've been digging through these messages and a pattern's emerging. One cult claims the 13th month is a misinterpretation, that it was never about days or weeks. It was always about that hour, that final frozen tick of time that doesn't belong anywhere. The hour you spend wondering if you mattered, if you were heard, if you'll be remembered, and if you hear your name whispered during it, you're already being judged. A former cult member, now living in hiding, sent this. In the forgotten hour, truth isn't revealed. It's echoed. And those echoes are tested. If they fracture, you fracture with them. I wonder now if that's what this whole thing is. If this broadcast is just me echoing. If all of you out there listening, you're part of that judgment. If you hear me, am I saved or am I still waiting? At 4 a.m., every clock I can monitor. Every digital feed, every atomic timestamp, every analog face, stopped. Dead halt, except mine. The studio clock keeps ticking, but not normally. Faster, accelerating. I swear I can hear it now, inside my head. Each tick louder than the last, closer, urgent. It's no longer measuring time. It's counting something down, and I don't know what happens when it hits 0, but I think I've already lived it. This might be it. I don't say that lightly. I've danced around that line for weeks now, hinting at endings, unravelings, resets, but tonight feels different. There are no calls. Not one. Not even static on the lines. Just me. The soft buzz of the board and the strange low hum that's been growing louder with every second. A hum that doesn't come from the equipment. At least not any part I can trace. I've tried reaching out to my usual channels, the science forums, the pirate broadcasters, even the underground networks. Nothing. Total blackout. Emails stopped exactly an hour ago. Text messages too. No system pings, no status indicators. But I'm still here. Still broadcasting. Still speaking into a world I'm no longer sure exists. On the other end, it's a strange kind of loneliness, isn't it? To talk into silence. To press your voice into the void and wait for something, anything, to echo back. But maybe that's the point. Maybe this broadcast was never meant to be heard. Maybe it's a confession, a loop, a record skipping at the edge of time. I keep staring at the mic light. It's still red, still recording, which means something is listening. And if something is listening, I have to keep speaking, even if I'm the only one left to hear it. Because what happens when we stop talking? When there's nothing left but silence? Maybe silence is the true reset. Maybe silence is what restarts the loop. So, I'll keep going until it's over, until I hear the static break, or until the hum drowns me out. I've gone back through the archives, old broadcasts, familiar ones, nights I remember clearly, conversations I can still hear in my head. But the recordings, they've changed. Segments are longer than they were before, intros bleeding into outros, gaps that shouldn't exist, and in between them, things I never said. On one tape from 2 weeks ago, there's a message during the weather update. A voice, mine I think, saying, "Don't trust the timestamps. They're folding in on themselves." I didn't say that. Not then. Not ever. Another broadcast, episode 1124, used to be about community updates, a traffic accident, and some listener shout-outs. Now there's a 4-minute break in the middle. During it, someone recites a list of names. Slowly, deliberately. And every single one of them is a caller from this show. Some are people I haven't heard from in months. Some are the ones who vanished. There's laughter, too. Not the kind you recognize. It's layered, glitchy, like laughter from a recording that's being reversed and sped up simultaneously. And in one broadcast, from before this all began, I hear a child's voice whisper, "This isn't your first time, Conrad. None of this was on the original files. I keep meticulous backups, analog, offline. They shouldn't be changeable, but they've changed. Even my voice is different. Older in some, younger in others. One version of me coughs constantly. Another stutters. One, on a looped segment, just breathes into the mic for 6 straight minutes. I've checked for tampering. There's no trace. It's like the recordings rewrote themselves, as if reality's fabric is thinning in both directions, past and future feeding into each other, corrupting the present. I don't know if the rest of you have noticed it too. Maybe you've gone back to your old voicemails, your security footage, your journals. If you haven't, don't. Because once you realize the past can change without your permission, you stop trusting the present. And when the present collapses, what's left? It started with the sharp crack on the line. Not the usual interference. This was different, like glass shattering underwater. Then came the voice. My voice. But not from a recording, not playback, not a glitch. It was live. I said my name before I could think, but the voice on the other end beat me to it. "I know who you are. I've been you. I still am." It sounded older, weathered, weaker, like someone who screamed through 100 timelines and finally ran out of breath. "You don't have long. Don't read the next message. That's how it begins again." I tried to interrupt, tried to ask what he meant, but he didn't stop. "You've looped 43 times, maybe more. I've lost count. Each time you read the next message, you think you're uncovering something, but all you're doing is resetting the wheel. You're the trigger, Conrad. Your voice is the pulse." He started coughing, hard, like something was collapsing inside him. "They'll send it soon. The final file. It always arrives around this time. You'll feel like you have to open it. Don't. That's what locks you in." I heard static surging behind him, screaming in the distance. Maybe his, maybe mine, maybe both. And then, one last thing. The you that gets out doesn't sound like us anymore. The line died, but the clock didn't stop. It's ticking faster now. And there's a file waiting in my inbox, unnamed, time-stamped to tomorrow. The file arrived just like he said it would. No subject line, no signature, just a string of corrupted characters in the name, like the file itself had been aged and folded 1,000 times before reaching me. I didn't want to open it. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. It wasn't audio, not at first. It was static. Pure layered distortion, like white noise buried under thunder, but something about it was too structured, like a rhythm hiding beneath the chaos. So I ran it through everything I had, reversed the feed, slowed it to 1/4 speed, fed it through a filter I built back in college to isolate hidden tones, from AM interference, and that's when I heard it. A voice. Mechanical at first, then human, then mine. It said, "The 13th month is not coming. You're already in it." The line repeated, each time more degraded, more fragmented. "You're already in?" I scrubbed backward, tried to isolate the waveform, but each time I did, the words rearranged themselves, as if the message knew it was being heard and was trying to rewrite itself. Eventually, I caught a full sentence at the bottom of the frequency. Awareness sustains the loop. Transmission is containment. I froze. That was the moment I realized this isn't a warning. This broadcast, this whole show, is the seal. And I've been feeding it power every night, keeping it alive by trying to decode it. I thought I was uncovering a mystery, but I was just giving the loop a voice. Right after that last message, everything changed. The soundboard dimmed, came back online, but differently, sluggish, like it had to remember how it worked. The needle on my meter spun erratically, oscillating between past recordings and live input. And then I heard myself, but not just once. 3 voices, all mine, all overlapping, one ahead, one behind, one perfectly in sync. You're listening to VoiceCast, listening to The Edge, Final Edge, Final Edge. Each version of me said different things. Some I remembered saying. Others I hadn't said yet. One was laughing. Another sounded like he was begging. I stepped away from the mic, but I was still talking. Some version of me was still talking. And the static, it wasn't just background noise anymore. It had form, structure, like it was breathing. A living, writhing thing that pulsed with every signal I tried to control. Listeners emailed frantically. One said they heard me describe the death of a person who hadn't died yet. Another said I was quoting poetry they'd written but never published. One man wrote that he heard his childhood self respond to my voice through an old speaker before he even tuned in. Whatever this is, it isn't radio anymore. It's resonance. Every version of this broadcast, every timeline, every failed recording, every signal bleed, they're all colliding now. And I think we've passed the point of separation. There's no past show, no next show. There's only this singular moment stretched out into eternity, a broadcast that loops because it no longer has anywhere else to go. The loop began with a phrase I've said 1,000 times. You're listening to VoiceCast, midnight radio for the sleepless. But this time, it played on its own. The mic was off. My hands weren't near the console. It was a playback, but it wasn't. It was me. See, and then it repeated. You're listening to VoiceCast. Again. And again. Each time slightly different. One with a lilt, one with fear, one cracked, almost in tears. My goodbye monologue began to cycle. I don't know who's listening anymore. I don't know who's listening anymore. I don't know. The air inside the studio grew heavy. The feedback built. The hum became a roar. Words blurred, time warped. I felt myself stretch thin. Then, nothing. Silence. No clock ticking, no static. Just pure, perfect absence. Until a single crackling voice. Not mine. Not yet. New. Hesitant, nervous. You're listening to VoiceCast. Is this thing on? And that's when I knew. The loop hadn't stopped. It had simply passed the mic.